View. Also, you can always pin my video to be up at the top. Perfect. Hi, everyone. As always, just please make sure that you're listening to your body and you're doing what feels right. This is all sort of at your own risk because this is a Zoom call. But I will try to be as informative as I can. Please ask questions. Please listen to your body, all that good stuff. Today, we're going to focus on sort of the upper body. Specifically, I have a lot of Serratus Anterior exercises for you and some lat stuff and some arm stuff, which I'm really excited about. I think this class is going to be a little bit nerdier than normal, so my apologies in advance, but I have a ton of exercises for us as well that you can do at home without any equipment, as is usually the goal for these classes. So yeah, so let's just get started real quick with some warm-up, and then I'm going to talk about the muscle groups that we're focusing on and why they're so important, and then we'll get into nitty-gritty stuff. So let's just start with actually some shrugs. So you can stand up for these, or you can just be on the knees, but I'm just going to start with shrugging my shoulders all the way up to my ears and then dropping them down, and then shrugging them up and dropping them down. Wonderful. Now, if you want more challenge, you can, of course, lift your arms up and do your shrugs like this. If you're an aerialist, you might already be used to this. Excellent. And let's just do some shoulder rotations as well. Just feeling all the different motions of the shoulder and then switching directions. Excellent. Good. We're going to do a quick shoulder stabilization exercise. This is for our rotator cuffs. I really like this one because it's kind of fun. But you're going to bring your arms out at the edge of your peripheral vision, so you don't want it too far back, but out in front. You want the shoulders engaged. You want your abs engaged, neck nice and long. And then you're going to write out the letters of the alphabet with your hands as quickly as you can. I'm not looking for accuracy. I'm looking for fast, repetitive movement. Make sure that your arms stay extremely straight and that your wrists stay flexed back. Nice. Excellent. Of course, if you have an alphabet that consists of more than 26 letters, you might get more of a workout, or you can always just, double up and start going through the numbers or something as well. Excellent. Let's do some neck stabilizers as well. This one I got from the lovely Janelle, who is a contortion coach here, and I really enjoyed the neck stabilizer. We feel really good. So we're going to do that as well. The first one is a forward stabilizer. So what I'm trying to do in all of these is keep my neck nice and long through the back. I'm not trying to crunch or crunch. I'm trying to stay nice and long, shoulders neutral. You're going to bring your hand to your forehead, and you're going to gently press. Your hand's trying to go that way, and your head's trying to go that way. So I'm creating pressure. Holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. And release that. Then we're going to do the reverse. So the head is going to try to go backwards. My hands are going to try to go forward. Be gentle with all of these, of course. And again, I'm trying to stay long through the back of the neck as if I am trying to reach with the crown of my head to the ceiling. So hands interlaced behind the head and pressing backwards. Hands pressing forwards for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Rest that. We're now going to go to the side. So hand is on the side of the head. Make sure you're pressing on a bony part, not on like a connection, like you don't want to be on your jaw. I'm kind of aiming more for my temple here. Head pressing that way, hand pressing that way, and for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. And then just see if you notice any kind of difference. I always feel a little funny when I just do the one side, so let's do the other side. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, rest. Excellent. You can do some neck circles as well. My neck usually feels a little bit better after that. And taking full circles if you so choose. Excellent. Like I mentioned before, you don't need any equipment for today's class, but what might be useful sometimes is to have a wall or something that you can lean against or use for reference. Of course, I'll give you many different variations, even if you don't have a wall to use, but having a wall might be useful today. Okay, we're gonna do one more set of neck retractions. Now, the reason why I'm focusing a little bit on the neck is because if we are used to sitting with the head forward or with the shoulders rounded, what that does is it starts to tighten up all of these muscles in the front of our body, and that actually turns off our serratus anterior muscles. We're not really using them anymore. And they're very important muscles for us to use. We want to make sure that we're engaging them. So I want to try to release some of this, get us to be nice and upright before we start activating the muscles down here. So that's the purpose of all these weird little exercises. So the next one is a neck retraction. This one's going to look kind of funny. I sometimes refer to this as giving yourself the double chin. I'm going to sit sideways so you can see me better. I am trying to press my neck in as if I'm trying to give myself a beautiful double chin for that selfie. I'm trying to press the back of my head. Keep your abs engaged. Try not to go completely forward in this one. I'm just pressing backwards, and again, you can hold this for 10 seconds. You want to go to the point where you feel something, and then come back. Point to the feel where you might feel a little bit of discomfort. For me, it's back here, and come back. If that's not enough, you can also use your fingers to gently press on your chin, and gently pressing backwards, and then releasing. Okay, those are really nice to strengthen up back here to counteract the forward head tilt. Nice and stretch. Okay, excellent. Moving right along. All right, let me talk about the serratus anterior real quick. The serratus anterior, I had a picture, but I can't post it for some reason, but you can Google search it real quick if you want to. The serratus anterior is related to the lat in that it does a lot of similar functions. However, the serratus anterior attaches to the inside of your shoulder blade, to the anterior side of your shoulder blade from the inside of the body. It comes around your rib cage and it attaches in a serrated fashion to your ribs here. So the inside of the shoulder blade, and it wraps around. Thus the name, serratus anterior. It is responsible for our shoulders whenever our shoulder is in an overhead position. It is responsible for the shoulder blades winging out in a nice smooth fashion. And it's also responsible for the posterior and anterior tilt of the scapula itself. Just like our hips have a tilt that they can do, our shoulder blades have a tilt that they can do. And when the arms are coming up over your head, the shoulder blades should be smoothly moving like so, pretending these are shoulder blades, around your rib cage. That's the job of your serratus anterior. If you're experiencing a lot of pain or discomfort whenever your arms are in an overhead position, specifically in this area right here, the top of the delt / your upper trap, it is probably because you're not using your serratus anterior enough. Or you might be canceling it out somehow using other muscles. Our bodies are really good at that. They're really good at getting you to your goal and using all the muscles, whatever is convenient, but not necessarily the most efficient or the healthiest. So we sometimes have to make sure our bodies are using the right muscles at the right time. So when our arm is moving upward, like so, at this point, we should be engaging the serratus anterior. So I'm going to show you a bunch of different exercises to help you tap into that and to also help you not engage your upper trap at the same time, because I find that that is personally my biggest challenge, as I tend to just use these muscles up here a lot because they're big and they're strong, instead of using the muscles I should be using. So the next quick thing that we're going to do is we're going to try to release some of the tension here in our front pecs. Our pec muscles are also big, strong muscles, and they have a tendency to roll the shoulder forward. And if my shoulder is rolled forward or internally rotated, your serratus anterior is not working optimally. So I'm going to try to release some of these. The way that I like to do this, you can use a ball or a peanut. I'm just going to use my hand for now, is bring your arm up to a 90-degree angle. You can have it bent or straight, doesn't matter. You can play with which one you like. You're going to take your fingertips right at the edge of where your shoulder connects to the pec. You're going to press gently, and then you're going to pull down across as if you're trying to trace your collarbone right below the collarbone. And you're going to lean that arm back at the same time, trying to create a little bit of a stretch. And then you can repeat. And you can play with the position of the arm. You can play with a little bit higher, a little bit lower. You can also play with the direction of the pull. Our pec muscles kind of fan out, so you can kind of play with that position a little bit. This one in particular, I almost feel back here. Yep. Nice, and then other side. This is also sometimes referred to as myofascial release. Yep. Just playing with the arm motions. I've switched arms, by the way. I didn't say that verbally, but I have switched arms. Of course, if you have a peanut, you can put a ball or a peanut right here too. I've shown this exercise in the past, and you move your arm up and down like so in a face down position, and it does a really good job releasing any tension there. Yep, so hopefully that has made the shoulders feel a little bit more mobile, a little bit more free, yep, so that our rotations feel nice and good. Okay, we're gonna get right into some serratus stuff now. I'm gonna start with a push-up exercise. Now you can do this against the wall as well, and I'll give you many different variations of similar exercise. I like the push-up one because it is one of the ones that allows you to not use your upper traps. In general, if I'm like up here, I am using my upper traps. So the way that you try to disengage them is let your shoulders fall just in a relaxed, comfortable position. And try to find what I call your grandma tea party posture. So making sure that you're not rounded forward at all, that you are in your Sunday best, and that you're really trying to push the sternum forward, be tall in the neck and head. Now, I do want to mention real quick, just because this was a slight controversy in the aerial world a little whiles back, is the back and down, shoulders back and down cue. And the reason why it caused a little bit of controversy is because if you are told, bring your shoulders back and down, and this is the response, to squeeze the shoulder blades together and really pull them down, you're not using your serratus anterior. You're actually canceling out that action. You're using a lot of strong muscles on your back, such as your lower trapezius, your rhomboids, those muscles, and you're not using your serratus anterior. So if you're used to being here, which I don't think any of you are, and then you're trying to lift your arms up, that's a whole different group of muscles that you're using. When our arms go up over, the shoulders should not be pinching together. The shoulders need to be able to move out. They need to be able to protract, and they need to be able to wing comfortably around the curvature of our rib cage. If they don't do that, then we can't really use our serratus anterior and our lats effectively. So for this exercise, again, sorry for all the talking, I'm going to be in a push-up position. Now you can modify this and you can be on your knees, is totally fine, or you can be in a full plank. But you're going to do like a shrug, a shoulder shrug in your push-up position. You're going to bring your shoulder blades together, which is a retraction. And then you're going to push the shoulder blades apart, which is a protraction. And you can do this with an actual push-up, but really this is the part that I really care about. Bringing the shoulders together and really pushing them down. This is helping us engage our serratus anterior. And I'm trying to keep my neck relaxed so that I don't engage my upper traps. Usually doing about 10 of these, you will start to feel a little bit warm in this sort of underarm side rib area. That's your serratus anterior working. That's a good thing. Now you want to make sure that when you're doing this, your arm is pretty much fixed at 90 degrees. You don't want to be here with the arm less than 90 degrees. That's not a great place to be. To make this exercise more challenging, you can actually bring the arms out in front of you a little bit. Because as the arm goes up, the serratus anterior has to work harder to keep the scapula against your rib cage. So to make this harder, you can actually bring the hands out a little bit and do the same thing. Okay, so try for maybe like 10 of those, see how that's feeling. Another thing that might be really useful is if you're still not really feeling it, you're not doing anything for you, you can try rotating the hands out just a little bit. That external rotation is going to help turn that muscle right on, which is another reason why you hear me talking about external rotation all the time. Because the thing with the shoulder is, depending on whether you're internally or externally rotated, you're going to be using different muscles. So try a slight external rotation if you're still not feeling anything. Cool. Now, the next exercise would be done best against a wall. So I'm going to turn you towards a wall so that you can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit better. Now, I don't have the best foam roller for this exercise, but if you have one of those smooth foam rollers like the Amazon Basics one, that actually works perfectly. My foam roller has a bunch of knobs on it, which can work, but it's kind of unpleasant. So I'm actually going to show you without a foam roller, which you can do just fine. But this is another serratus anterior activation exercise. What you're going to try to do is you're going to try to find a position facing the wall where your arms can start in a 90-degree angle at the shoulder and a 90-degree angle at the elbow. You're trying to keep your arms fairly equidistant apart, so don't allow yourself to do this or this. You're trying to stay nice and neutral, nice and parallel. And then make sure that your core is engaged. So don't be doing this exercise with a sway back. Make sure that you are engaging and keeping a nice protracted shoulder. So in this case, I don't want to be retracted. I want to be pushing through the arm a little bit into the wall. Then right from here, I'm going to try to straighten the arms as much as I can. Continue to press into the wall and then coming back down. Try for about 10 of these. To make this harder, you can walk closer to the wall. But really try to make sure that you don't lose your engagement even as your arm extends up. Boy, I just got a cramp for that one. So extending up, and I'm pressing my arms into the wall and back down. Also, make sure that as your arms lift, your shoulders are not lifting here. I want to keep those elbows parallel. I want to keep the scapula wrapping around the curvature of my rib cage. The cue that I like to give is imagine that you have a squishy stuffed animal between your elbows and you're trying to squish it. This, that helps the scapula wrap around the back. And then you're not having this effort where the scapula are actually coming together on the back, and then you're using your elbow traps. So here, boom. Okay, those are really excellent. Yeah. Yep, trying to move up as high as you can, keeping your arms nice and parallel. And just pay attention if like something weird's happening, like if your elbow's winging out to the side suddenly, or you know, that just means you're internally rotating. Nice, those look great. Fantastic job, everybody. Hopefully you're starting to feel it a little bit in this area. The lat is also here, and you might start to feel it in the lat as well. That's not bad, that's not wrong. We're just trying to be very specific and isolated. So if you feel it in the lat, it's not a problem. Okie doke. Moving right along, the next one is going to be our cactus arm lifts. This is a little bit of a retraction exercise as well, meaning that I am trying to open up through the chest, but I'm trying to keep my shoulder blades down my back, but not together. Yeah, so I think that's a distinction that needs to be made, is I'm never trying to be here, I'm trying to be here. And the cue that I like to give, where the wall is going to be useful as well, is it's as if I'm trying to get my fingertips and my wrists against the wall, and I'm trying to point my elbows forward. I'm trying to get my elbows off the wall. So if you have a wall handy, you can do a chair sit or just lean up against it. Make sure your abs are engaged, so your low back should be also in contact with the wall. Fingertips are out, I'm in a cactus arm position, and then try to get your elbows off the wall. This is a great exercise, just this by itself, for that retraction activation. You should feel this in your lower trapezius muscles and right below the shoulder blades, right below the scapula as you do this. To take this exercise up a notch, you're then going to try to keep the elbows off the wall, keep the hands and the wrists against the wall, and bring them together above your head. That's about as far as I can go without losing form. Some of you might have more flexible shoulders and you can go further, that's totally fine. If you can go further, once your fingertips touch, you're gonna try to straighten your arms up the wall. Of course, without taking your hands away from the wall like I just did. I just don't have the shoulder flexibility in order to show you that properly. So, cactus arms. And then you can work on straightening the arm up the wall as well. And the whole time I'm trying to keep space between the top of my shoulder and my earlobes. I'm trying not to do this. This is essentially an internal rotation. My shoulder has turned in like that. My scapula is coming away from my rib cage at the bottom. Instead, I want to be externally rotating. I want my shoulder to be rotating back. It's as if I'm trying to touch the top of my shoulder to the wall, and the bottom of my scapula is pushing in towards my rib cage. Okay, that's the Serratus Anterior's job. That's what it's doing, is keeping that scapula in place. Just taking a quick peek to see how everyone is doing. Looking good. Fantastic. Okay, this next one is called the alternating robot. Since we're all against the wall, let's go ahead and do that one next. It's a lot of very similar things, so if you're starting to get tired or fatigued there, good. That means you're working the right muscles. The alternating robot. This is another one that is using multiple muscles, but is specific to the serratus anterior because of that rotation that I just talked about, where the scapula wants to posterior anteriorly tilt. So in this one, I'm going to start with one arm down and one arm up. And what I'm trying to do, the arm that's going to be doing the work is actually the one that's pointing down. What I'm trying to do is get my hand as close to the wall as I can without losing the engagement of your scapula, without letting the scapula roll like that. So I'm going to try to bring my hand as close to the wall as I can while still keeping the shoulder back as well. So it's going to look like this. So I'm bringing my fist to the wall and I'm trying to get my fist to this wall as well. This is as far as I can go without disengaging my core or rolling forward through my shoulder. You're going to hold for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to switch. So this arm is now trying to get to the wall. This arm's touching the wall. It's kind of resting at the moment. this arm really working hard. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and switch. Now, of course, you can do this off of the wall, but the reason why I like the wall is if you start to feel your scapula, like the bony part, dig into the wall, you know that it's coming off your back. So it's a good sort of cue from your wall to know if you're rotating a little bit too much. Okay, so try maybe like a couple of those on each side. This is the arm that's working, and switching. Really trying hard here. And you can see, like, I'm not going very far. This is the limit of my flexibility. If you're not an aerialist, these exercises can still help with any pain that you might have in your upper back to alleviate that sort of shoulder pain and tension. It might alleviate some neck pain and tension, and it'll help you have a better posture just in general. So even if you're not, training to make sure that this overhead motion is great, then it's still beneficial nonetheless. Those look good. Okay, moving right along. Okay, we're gonna go back to the floor now. I'm gonna move you right quick. Doot, doot, doot. Excellent. Okay, this is going to go back to that shoulder idea. And I am going to use a book to demonstrate. If you have yoga blocks, that's even better, but I don't. But I do have some thick books. If you don't have anything, you can still do this without anything, but I'm just going to use something to elevate my hands just a little bit. And again, you can do this from a push-up position with the feet up or with the knees down. Just make sure that the body, more or less, is nice and straight, and I am protracted, and that I'm not, doing that or doing that. So for this one, here's what we're going to do. The arm that's going to stay stationary is actually going to be the one that's working. The other arm is going to go from being on the book to being on the floor to being on the book. And the way that we're going to get it there is through the stabilization of the shoulder. I'm going to use a retraction and a protraction on that one side to get my arm into place. So I'm in my push-up position, my shoulders are protracting. I'm going to hover one arm off the book. I'm going to retract the shoulder and bring this hand to the floor slowly. The key word is slowly because we want to do this with control. Then right from there, I'm going to protract that shoulder, lifting the hand off the floor and bringing it back. And then you can switch sides. So hover the hand, retract the shoulder, bring the hand to the floor. You can rest there for a moment, of course, and then protracting through the shoulder to lift the hand back up and bring back to start. You can try a couple of these on each side. If you don't have a book, you can do this off of the edge of an object as well, just so you have something to hover your hand on. Yeah. Or if you're on the floor, you can still work on maybe bending the elbow so you can work on the retraction, and lifting the elbow so you can work on the protraction and being here. For the book version, try to keep your elbows really nice and straight. This is not about creating room by bending the arm. This is about moving through the shoulder in a controlled fashion. Maybe try a couple of those. And a lot of these exercises are intended to be done in groups of like 10 to 15. Of course, if you're just really not feeling anything, you can do more. You can do 20, 30. But I would recommend working your way up to higher quantities, just because these are very specific exercises. And these are great to be done after you've warmed up your shoulders, and maybe after you've done core or something like that. So if you're doing a regular routine, then stick them in somewhere in there is perfect. Cool. Alrighty. Moving right along. We're going to get into a little bit more lat work now. I think we've done a lot of really Serratus Anterior specific things, but our lats specifically help us do this. Or as far as aerialists, they help us bring our butts and our hips over our head. So when we're pushing on an object, they help us do this, okay? Which is basically our inversion. So if I'm holding on to my apparatus and I'm trying to get my butt up, I have to engage my core, I have to scoop my pelvis, and then I use my lats. I close through my lats to help me get my butt up. It's also important to use your Serratus Anterior to make sure your shoulders are in the right orientation, but the lat is a big mover muscle. They're very important for us as well. So one of my favorite exercises, just in general of all time, are inchworms. So a couple of different ways to do inchworms. These are another ground exercise. Version 1, starting from a plank, you're going to walk your feet up one at a time. I'm trying to keep my shoulders right over my hands. I'm really pressing into my hands, and I'm going to get my feet up as close as I can. Now this depends on your flexibility. So keep your legs straight, keep the heel of the palm on the floor, and then walk your feet back. Those are inchworms. I want you to really feel the sensation of drawing the belly button up towards the ceiling, as if someone is grabbing your hips and helping lift you into this position. This is a great handstand exercise. This is a great lat exercise. This is a great ab exercise. I love it for all those things. Getting those hands in there and pushing the hands back. Nice. Now, another version of this exercise that you can do, if you have sliders, these things, these are literally furniture sliders that I used when I was moving furniture. But you can get more specific things and or socks on a hardwood floor. Just anything that allow your feet to slide a little bit. You can do your inchworms like that. So putting your feet on your little sliders, mine are very little. And then this one is very lat specific. I am pushing through my lats to help bring my feet in, and then I'm going to use my lats to go back to my plank. And back. So that's a great variation of that exercise as well, if you have something slidey that you can use. Otherwise, walking the hands up, walking the feet back is perfect. Nice. Beautiful. Yeah, of course, if you've elevated your feet up on an object, you might not get as deep of a compression unless you're extremely flexible, like Angela. Then, you might be not as close, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Excellent. A similar but different exercise, which is a little bit more lat specific, is a variation on the ab wheel. I don't know if you know what the ab wheel is. I always used to play with these as a kid, but it's like a wheel and you hold on and you try to roll forward and backwards. That's a core exercise, but it's also a lat exercise. And you can do different variations of that. So from a plank or from your knees, you can work on walking the hands to what I call a long push-up. So if I'm on my hands, I'm going to start one hand at a time. I'm going to walk that hand out, walk the hand up, walk the hand out, walk the hand out, keeping that engagement, and I'm pressing hard into the floor with my hands. Walk as far as you can go, and then slowly walking the hands back. So that's version 1. Version 2, same thing, but from your feet. So from a full plank, walking those hands up, pressing into the floor. I just moved my entire carpet, walking back. Version 3, if you've got the sliders or your towel, so I saw some of you were using a towel on the floor, that's perfect. You can do it from here. Make sure your hands stay equidistant. Don't let them go, don't let them splay out like that. But pushing through, pulling back. It's the pulling back that you should really start to feel those lats engaging. So pushing through, and then use your core, pulling back. Of course, don't go so far that you can't come back. That would be the goal. Yeah. And of course, going from the plank is possible. Not for me, but for some people, I'm sure. That would be a way to scale it up with the sliders. Another specific to push-up lat and that kind of engagement, especially if your hands are starting to get tired, are planked dolphins. A dolphin, as far as I know, is a yoga pose that is basically downward dog, but on your elbows. So for these, you can do this from the knees as well. But I am starting in my push position. I'm going to shift my weight back and come to the knees, or I'm sorry, come to the elbows, and then try to go back to your push-up position from there. So they're like a backwards push-up. You can also do this from the knees. You can also do these from a downward dog. I find that this might be a lot on some people's shoulder flexibility. Like that's a lot on my shoulder flexibility. And I find that it puts it more into like a flexibility issue area rather than a workout for me, but to each their own. If you have really open shoulders, that might be the way you need to go. So yeah, very nice. Stay nice and solid, lowering down, and pushing back up. And I am moving on my toes, as you can see, to give myself that room. Boop, boop. Yeah. Of course, the further out your arms are, the harder this gets, especially with the pushing back up. So good. Woo. Okay, we are running out of time. Okay, real quick. My hands are tired. I don't want to do any more push-ups. How do I work my lats? Well, lay face down on the floor. This is actually one of my favorites. You're going to lay face down on the floor. You're going to have your arms up above your head, and you're going to try to push your rib cage, specifically your solar plexus, off the floor by using your arms. This is a great lat exercise. So from here, I am protracting the shoulders, and I'm trying to lift my solar plexus off the floor, and then I'm going to lower back down. Lift off the floor, lower back down. Boop. So I'm very much engaging through my abs, and I'm pushing down with my arms, and you should feel that engagement through here. Of course, just double check and make sure that you're not like that, especially with that face, that I'm protracting. I'm really thinking about pushing my shoulders away from each other and down. Now, of course, a lot of these ground exercises are an exaggerated version of what you might do in the air. Like I wouldn't probably be in the air like this. That's not a good place to be. Unless I'm in like a skinny cat, that's exactly where you want to be. So just keep that in mind. These are supplements, not like this is what you should look like in the air, because that's not always true. These look so good. Awesome. Of course, the last thing, if we don't get shut off, is going to be our lat inversion. I like to use the edge of a furniture item for this. So you can see I have my couch right here. I'm going to stick my arms underneath of the couch, like so. And I'm going to try to do my tuck up, boom, like so. I'm trying to lift and lower nice and slow with a lot of control. I'm trying to pull my knees as close to my body as I can. I'm engaging proper hollow body here by pulling my abs back. And of course, if you want more challenge, I recommend adding your extension by squeezing your butt, finding your line, coming down and coming down. Of course, all of these are done best when done slowly. You are going to be combining everything that we worked on today in that exercise. It's a great inversion exercise if you don't actually have something that you can invert on. I don't recommend inverting on pull-up bars. Sorry, but yeah, it works a lot of the same stuff. I have a bunch of resistance band exercises as well. that just FYI, resistance bands are a great way to target the lats, the striatus. There's a lot of like, you grab a band and you put it on your banister behind you, and then you work on like the punches, and you can work on the extensions, and those are all very targeted exercises. So if anyone's interested in like TheraBand / resistance band specific exercises, that's going to be like a whole nother hour, but I am very happy to tell you and show you about it, especially if you have a specific question. But that is pretty much all we have time for. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording. So goodbye if you're watching on YouTube, and open it up for questions.